apologize. I missed like the first 25 minutes, so I don't know about the Beltline, and I'd like to be able to go online and read about the information. And is there a website or is there a place online where I can go and I can read about all the things that you talked about, number one. Number two, the MARTA issue is one that I'm concerned about. I work at Georgia State University, and there are people who work in the cafeteria who I'm trying to find MARTA cards for because of the fares. You know, and I think it's really unfair that working people are having to shell out so much for a MARTA card every month. I mean, it's a huge expense when you have especially the income that they're trying to live on. So that is definitely a concern of mine. And how it all ties in with the Beltline, I'm not sure because I missed your first 25 minutes. But I will say that we're here, at least I'm here, because I want to become better informed about the local issues, and I just need to know where I can access the information.
Well, were you going to say something, Jay?
Yeah, I was just going to say what I wanted to say before. If you take the money that's being granted to Emory and you take the $600 million for the Beltline, that's $900 million. That's more than a third of what they're projecting to raise, being used on essentially non-mass transit-oriented projects that serve some special interest. The real project that they should be doing it for, but they refuse, is an east line along the I-20 to South DeKalb that would hook up to all the bus routes that they could develop there, because that's where a lot of the people who were in public housing were forced to move to, and it's got a large number of people who need access to jobs that right now they don't have. And all they're going to do there, and this was only at the last minute when they were really pressured in the planning to include it, was they're going to build some stations that eventually could become part of a heavy rail or some kind of a rail line. They're not doing it now because the $900 million is going elsewhere where it's not needed.
I have a question. So where's the $900 billion coming from?
$900 million.
No, what?
$900 million.
Okay, $900 million is coming from state and federal money?
No, it's coming from the sales tax that they want to impose next year.
Okay.
It's projecting.
Yeah, and the only person I know who's really scratching the surface on the Beltline is a journalist named Bruce Dixon.
Yeah.
And so you go to blackagendareport.com and check out their archives. That's the only person I know who's really kind of digging deep and really publicizing what they're finding on the Beltline.
Can I make a suggestion, though? Because if anybody would ask me, I'll tell you I'm against the program that's created the Beltline. So that's the tax allocation district, basically, where City of Atlanta, Fulton County, and the Atlanta Public School System decided to forego certain monies that can be used today, so to speak, to create this Beltline allocation district. But pretty much for transit, if I had my ideal situation, I want what you have in Georgia State, because I don't see anybody being harassed about a fare box collection on the Georgia State Pound or the Georgia Tech Steamer. So in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, the University of North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, and two cities, Chapel Hill and Carrboro, they provide transit, fare-free transit for the whole region right there. Whidbey Island, Island Transit in the Washington state, a fare-free transit system that's operated in the black for about 25 years or 25 plus years. So I think there are greater situations. And by God, we got the world's busiest airport that everyone who clears security takes ground transportation to get to their concourse. So there are things that can be done, and we don't have to be force-fed a plan where, for instance, if we're talking Beltline, if you know the history of it, or maybe not, Wayne Mason, former chairman of Gwinnett County, sat at the Atlanta Regions Commission, got a whole lot of inside information, left his role as county commissioner, but bought up that huge portion of track, about 6 to 9 miles, along Piedmont Park, Ansley Park, Morningside, when he couldn't get the type of zoning where he thought he'd be able to build buildings like this, I guess, or condos in that area, right? He dumped the project, but the city of Atlanta or the Beltline had to spend their first huge chunk of money to buy that because they don't own the property, and he's made more money today than anybody else associated with the Beltline. So again, this is a scheme for privatization, or what I like to say is to convert public wealth to private persons.
So what about fighting this thing? What do people think? What do you say? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd be interested. You said you're with the writers union, right?
I can't hear you.
I was asking him. He said he's with the MARTA Writers Union. I think it'd be interesting to see if maybe we could have like either MARTA sit-ins or lockouts even to demand public funding of MARTA.
Well, I mean, I would say the target isn't necessarily MARTA, right?
Right.
But the Beltline.
I mean, we could demand that the money that's going to Beltline go to MARTA.
Yeah. I haven't heard from many sisters around this space. Any sisters want to talk? Questions, thoughts, feelings?
Try to address the problem of the distribution of wealth. Okay, we're here, you know, this is what we're trying to do. But actively trying to get this issue clear, like trying to get the Beltline and the funding going to MARTA to be a little bit action.
Yeah, I agree with that because the Beltline is indeed driven by Atlanta's 1%. And so here, right here in the city, in a small kind of microcosm, people can start taking in some serious Atlanta politics. If you win the occupation of this park, that don't stop Atlanta politics.